those who help make us smarter, when they're proven correct, get a chance to come back and say, I told you so. And in that vein, our friend Jordan Palmer, quarterback consultant, returns here to the Rich Eisen Show less than a month removed from telling us Sam Darnold is going to be just fine, if not terrific, in Minnesota. Back here on the program. Good to see you, Jordan. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. This was a big weekend. I got a bunch of guys playing that played at a high level this weekend. So, and then my third grader went 2-0. He's playing 2 different flag leagues, and we're really starting to put it together on offense. The Bills are. So I was excited. It's a good weekend.
Very good. This is all good in your hood. So seriously, what are you seeing out of Jordan Palmer? What are you seeing out of Sam Darnold right now that you saw a month ago?
Well, I think it's really a discussion around narratives going into it, right? Because I'm saying I'm not surprised at what I'm seeing. Everyone else is surprised at what they're seeing. So I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing, right? Touchdown passes and not dumb turnovers and accuracy. So all that stuff we're seeing. But I think the conversation is really about the narrative coming into it, which is why people would be surprised or caught off guard or wrong. And if you think about how opinions are formed on, let's just say quarterbacks, because we're talking about, there's really like 2 parties that represent that, right? So you've got the media and you've got fans. And so, Rich, I think about you personally. I mean, you've been in this business, 30 years, and you understand football at such a higher level than a casual fan. And you watch it, you study it, you call it. I think about the umpteen hours you and just Coach Prime have spent talking ball in a car service, on an airplane, in a production meeting, and fill in hundreds of other people who are experts at you. So in the media, you and your peers, like, you're getting such good information input, right? And stories and context. Fans don't really get that as much. And so what ends up happening is overwhelmingly, I think fans and media draw on the most available data, which is just stats, right? 52%, 71%, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks. And so what happens is fans and media and as a whole, a lot of times gravitate towards the stats, and the stats just don't really tell the picture. As I look at Sam's success, I can't tell you off the top of my head what his stats are. I haven't even looked. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I don't know. I don't really pay attention to it because that never really tells me the story. I think with Sam is, and you see this with other people that I said we're going to do good. I've been confident from day one that Jayden Daniels was going to start off hot. Is you look at, like, what have they done in their past to set them up for success in this situation? And I go back a couple of years ago. Sam was playing in Carolina. They started off 3-0. He had Christian McCaffrey. Joe Brady was his OC. And he was playing some of the best ball in the league. And then I went to the game at Houston, it's a Thursday night game, and McCaffrey went down and another injury, and the corner got hurt. And then it just kind of snowballed and fell out of control. And then we just look at Sam Darnold's stats at the end of the year, and they say he's a bum. And then you look at last year, getting to sit not just behind Brock Purdy, but be in that San Francisco building. And as a fan, there's no stats that are going to tell me how much better Sam Darnold got last year and how much he extracted from that. But I can tell you, and think about it like this, Rich. Let's say your son's going to be the 3rd pick in the draft. And I said, hey, before he plays his first year, I'm going to let him pick a coordinator to sit in the room with and learn from for a year. And I'm going to guarantee that he's going to be in a locker room for a whole year with a Super Bowl contender, with a team that makes it to the Super Bowl. You would jump at the opportunity to put your son in that situation. And that's what Sam, the former number 3 pick in the draft, got to do last year. He got to be not just around the Niners and all that, but learn for a whole year, go to the University of Kyle Shanahan. And then he got to see, Brock Purdy, not just have a great year, but what he did in the playoffs, everything to get to the Super Bowl. And so all of that contact, all of that exposure and experience comes together with somebody who has also dealt with getting punched in the stomach in New York for years in the media. And he's an internet, they're making fun of him. Like, he's got all that. And so you drop him in this situation, which has no coaches with job security issues. So they're just doing what makes sense. They're just making logical, smart decisions. And a bunch of good players in the huddle and no expectations going into it. And poof, here we are.
Jordan Palmer here on the Rich Eisen Show. You just said that within that that answer that you had no doubts Jayden Daniels would take off quickly in his first 4 weeks, but even to the extent that we're seeing, I mean, we're seeing an accuracy level on the likes of Drew Brees, Jordan, and we're seeing the efficiency certainly over the last 2 weeks. I know Burrow's one of your guys too. That throw he made to send Joe Burrow to 0-3 is one of those wow plays that you don't ever see from a rookie, really, in Game 3, certainly in his first Monday night game. So what made you think that with Jayden?
Well, the level that he's playing, breaking records. No, I mean, this is incredible. This is unprecedented. I mean, you break a record, it's literally unprecedented, yes. Right? It means it hasn't done before. But I thought what would translate for Jayden is what translated for him at Arizona State. And I've known Jayden since he was a sophomore in high school. And I was calling games for a little bit for Fox. And I actually called Arizona State at Oregon State his true freshman year and watched him battle back to tie up a game which they had no business being in. And I think what it is because he's pretty quiet and because he's not flashy and because I don't know how much he cares about marketing and media. He just is kind of to himself and he's quiet. He's not like one of these lightning rods or magnets where we're going to overanalyze him. And so the other part that happens is they didn't pay attention to him. I watched every Arizona State game. People didn't watch that. And so when he went to LSU, I saw Burrow all over again because he's going to play with some playmakers around him, but it's going to translate right away. People don't realize that Jayden Daniels is a true freshman. At the end of the season, had Oregon come into town. Justin Herbert, and all Oregon had to do was beat a bad Arizona State team with a true freshman quarterback, and they didn't. Jayden Daniels outdueled Justin Herbert. And so when you see Jayden go back on the history of Jayden getting thrown into situations that he may or may not be ready for, get thrown into situations that every single time people said he's too small to. He was too small to play as a true freshman. He's too skinny to do that in the NFL or to do it in the SEC. That's what they said at LSU. Now we all concerns about how skinny he is and how slight he is heading into the NFL. And I just see him continually over time. He's created a pattern of being ready for the next level, whatever that next level is. High school to college, Pac-12 to SEC, and now SEC to NFL. And somebody who's got a pattern of handling that well, I'm certainly not going to bet against or doubt. And then on the mobility side of it, he's fast. A lot of guys are fast to play quarterback. But the difference between the way he uses his athleticism and, say, Caleb Williams is he is a decisive, put your foot in the ground and go guy. There's not a lot of clips of Jayden Daniels bouncing around and dancing in the pocket and creating that way. There's a lot of examples of him pump faking, putting his foot in the ground and getting to full speed. That translates to the league. And so the combination of those elements, and I think everyone underestimated how good Terry McLaurin and some of these other guys were because of the quarterback play around them, I would say. And you got a perfect storm, and Cliff Kingsbury is the perfect guy to be orchestrating this.
Why?
Because he's done it with Kyler. And what I just said about running around and creating time and space by making people miss in the pocket, I don't remember the stats in front of me, but Kyler Murray was pretty close to the NFL record for sacks his rookie year. He ran into a lot of sacks. What he got away with in college, get the edge, make the first guy miss, make the second guy miss. Well, in college, not every D lineman has a motor. And in the league, they do. None of the guys pass rushing ever give up. And so you run into a lot of sacks. We're seeing it out of Caleb now. We saw it out of Kyler Murray when he was with Cliff Kingsbury his rookie year. That's not Jayden's game. That's not what he does. And so you're getting all the good that Cliff has done before in the NFL, at SC, before that, Texas Tech, all that. You're getting all that experience. You're getting an offensive coordinator who doesn't think we need to win by outsmarting the other team. We need to win by keeping it simple, playing fast, and executing. That's not every coordinator believes that. And that's what's worked for Cliff. And this is the perfect guy to be running Cliff's offense, a guy who doesn't run into sacks and create losses, and who's decisive and can play fast.
Jordan Palmer, founder of the QB Summit, as well as a quarterback consultant extraordinaire back here on the Rich Eisen Show. What are you seeing out of Caleb's first month in the NFL?
Well, it's a little bit of what I just mentioned of, he's a couple weeks ago, he makes the first guy miss, the second guy miss, and then the third guy gets him, or he gets hit while he's throwing and it's a pick. Quarterbacks who rely on that, or that's a strength of theirs, because I don't think it's not. who can make people miss in the pocket and buy time. Players who grew up doing that in high school. Caleb Williams was nobody on the field could tackle him, right? And then I would argue at SC, no one on the field could tackle him. And so he's created success and created a history. A big part of his game is creating time and space by moving around in the pocket and using his athleticism. Well, I can't put a quarterback through drills to tell them, hey, you're going to have to speed that up in the league. And we can't practice that in practice. You can only get those reps in the game because that's the only time they're actually coming after you, diving at you, trying to hit you. And so I just think guys like that, it's going to take him a little bit to figure out what he can and can't get away with. And that's not to say that he's continuing to evolve in quick game and off-platform throws and progressions. Like Caleb's going to be just fine. He's going to be a star. And I think what we're seeing early on is him learning, oversimplified, the speed of the game, what he can and can't get away with when he's moving around the pocket. And Caleb's so smart and so self-aware that I think he's going to continue to get better at that every week.
And you think Jayden Daniels is not having those issues because do you think he processes better, or you just say that wasn't his game, making the second, third man miss before, so he doesn't have to deal with figuring out how the speed of this game is different? Because he's deadly accurate, man. I'm just trying to, and obviously comparing these two is something that's going to happen the rest of their careers, let alone 4 games in.
Yeah, there'd be no way for me to assess who's processing faster, who's smarter, who knows more. There'd be no way to assess that. It'd be a subjective opinion, which I avoid. No, I just think Jayden has not created, if you pull up his top 25, let's say creative plays that he made in high school, and then his top 25 most creative plays that exciting highlight reel plays from college. Let's say he took all those. I just don't think you're going to see that many where he goes right, backs up, scoots to the left, spins out of it, stays in the pocket, and throws it. I'm not saying he can't do that. I'm just saying that's not most of his plays. Most of his plays is when he does something creative, is he's decisive. He leaves the pocket to the right, puts his foot in the ground, cuts up field and goes, or cuts up field and rips one down the field. And so he's a one cut. You see with running backs, some guys are one cut north-south guys, and some guys can juke everybody, right? So it's not even a knock. It's just that's not his game. Some people hit driver and they spray it, and some people just hit their 3-iron and they don't hit it as far off the tee box, but they're always down the middle. It's just a different approach to the game, and you can lose to the guy who hits the 3-iron off the tee too. But it's just what the approach and what is where he's found success. It's not by dancing and buying time in the pocket. It's by being decisive, getting the ball out of his hand, or taking off, and that translates.
Jordan Palmer, last couple of minutes with the QB Summit founder here on the Rich Eisen Show. So last one for you, Trevor Lawrence. What are you seeing over these first 4 weeks? Anything? A guy that you've worked with before. Jacksonville would love to figure something out to get a W here right now, losing nine in a row with him right now. What do you have for me, Jordan?
This is an interesting one because they certainly have personnel there. I mean, Christian Kirk, I couldn't be a bigger fan of. I know Ingram's been hurt, but they have pieces there. And Trevor is just such a consistent guy every day, same work ethic, same person, win, lose. And so a lot of times when you lose a bunch of games in a row, your leaders are either not great leaders or they're just inconsistent, but that's not the case. And it's not the case with the head coach either. So I don't have an amazing answer for you. But I know that Trevor bounced back after just a crazy, chaotic rookie season to have a really good sophomore season with the Jaguars. And, they're in a slump right now. And if you think about, it's funny, I read a book to my kids' kindergarten class the other day. Oh, The Place You Shall Go by Dr. Seuss.
Oh, yes.
So slumping yourself is not easily done. Somebody's going to be laughing really hard that everyone else know what I'm talking about.
I'll give it to you. Yes.
Getting out of that slump, what you can't do is get creative and try and reinvent yourself. What you have to do is get back to fundamentals, and you have to get on the same page with guys. So I think it's a really complex answer of keeping it simple. They have to figure out the 2 or 3 things that have to get better up front. Trevor has to, I think, mechanically in the pocket, get himself back to a good pre-pass position. He's getting hit a ton. He's a little more off his back foot, a little bit leaning. That happens when you're pressing. That happens as the pressure builds from another loss. And so I think it's when I've seen this college or pro, good teams underperform consistently for a period of time. What I've seen in the past is getting back to the fundamentals and getting everybody bought in on doing the simple things well is the best way to unslump yourself.
Jordan, thanks again. Congrats. Not just in saying that Sam Darnold would do what he would do, but, you know, when you taught Josh Allen that roll out to your right, avoid 3 pass rushers at the same time, throw it across your body 50 yards down the field as you're falling out of bounds and getting hit. He nailed that one to Shakir on Sunday night. So excellent execution of your game plan for him, Jordan.
Yeah, a lot of trick shots. I let the boys play around and do fun drills at the end of every workout. That's all that was.
Yeah, man. It's honestly, I ascribed it to you. So congrats on that, Jordan. Thanks for the time as always, brother. You're the best.
Thanks, Rich.
You got that's Jordan Palmer, right here. He teaches Josh Allen everything he knows, right there. That was one of the craziest plays I've seen in some time. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.